Today is a day I will once again shine as an Apple sheep because, frankly, Samsung, you seem to be kind of ticking off your main audience here, and Samsung has had a lot of advantages over Apple in the past, and they were usually very vocal about any of those advantages, but it seems like at the end of the day, they always just come back to abandoning some of the features that they recruit you for, which, in my opinion, makes Samsung a company kind of hard to like. Let's begin. Alright, so first of all, Apple also is guilty of this, introducing a feature and then removing it later on, whether it be landscape home screen mode or 3D touch is another great example. But the thing I notice is that typically Apple only removes one major thing if they are ending up moving away from an older standard, or if they do remove something, typically they addressed it a bit more directly. You know, I think Apple, out of all companies, brought up why they were ditching the headphone jack more so than Samsung or Google or OnePlus did. Everybody else was just kind of like, well, you know, it's a standard, but Apple actually said, no, headphone jack is older, we think there are better alternatives now, here's why we're moving on, and you don't have to agree with it, but they had their logic here. Whereas Samsung, in my opinion, with the Galaxy S21 lineup, decided to remove quite a few things in a single upgrade, and honestly, it doesn't feel like that massive of an upgrade over last year anyway. It's very much an S year, but at the same time, it's an S year with a lot of things removed, so I feel like that makes them hard to get excited or even root for a lot of people. So for one, they removed the charge brick after bragging so much on social media that, hey, our phones still come with a charge brick, stupid, Apple doesn't include a charge brick, you guys are idiots. And people go with that logic so smoothly, right? They see the post and they're like, yeah, exactly, Apple's so dumb, see Samsung's still including a brick, and all of their fans get so excited for that, only for just a couple of months later, they take down their tweets, they take down their posts, and within a few months of bragging about including a charge brick, they're now bragging in their event about how great it is that they removed it. So personally, I think removing the charge brick is fine in today's day and age because so many of us have phones now. I think it's perfectly reasonable for both Apple, Samsung, Xiaomi, OnePlus, whoever you are, I think it's reasonable to just say you probably already have a charge brick and there's a very high chance of you not using the one we include in the box anyway, so we're just not going to include it. That's fine. Okay, I'm not criticizing that aspect of it, but the difference is Apple wasn't like 2 months ago bragging about how they include a charge brick and someone else doesn't. The hilarious part to me is when Samsung is criticizing companies like Apple for removing the brick, and then a few months later deciding, actually, that was a really great idea, and we're doing it too, but they're not giving any credit to Apple for coming up with this idea. I mean, do you think if Apple kept including the charge brick this year, Samsung would have removed it anyway? No, because Samsung takes the coward's way out most of the time when it comes to adopting new standards or removing old stuff. They are usually like, let's wait till everybody else has already adopted the new thing, and then we can do it because then no one will get mad at us for it, which in my opinion means playing the safe route. It means that you don't like getting criticism, and you don't want to be the first to something that critical, even though you know it is the future and you know it's probably the right move to make. You just want to let everybody else get criticized for it so that you don't have to get criticized for it. And I feel like Samsung did something somewhat similar with MST, something I didn't bring up in my recap video, probably because that recap video was filmed before the Samsung event took place, which says a lot about how predictable this event was. But yeah, MST, for those who don't know, is how Samsung phones were utilizing Samsung Pay so that you could pay for things or even use transit cards where NFC was not available. You guys remember how many commercials Samsung was bragging about this feature? They were like, hey, anywhere you already support traditional credit or debit cards, you can use Samsung Pay, and Apple Pay requires NFC, so that's not going to work everywhere, but Samsung Pay will. They were bragging about that to no end, like, hey, this is going to work everywhere, Samsung Pay is so much better. And to be completely honest with you, I was pretty jealous of that. I remember watching the commercials of it and thinking, dang, I wish Apple Pay had something like that, where you could pay even if NFC was unreliable or not working, and it seemed to be a fairly highly praised feature for a lot of Samsung fans in the past that that, hey, I can use this at any card reader. It doesn't have to have NFC. And with the S21 lineup, they decided to ditch MST. Probably because Samsung's justification likely is that, well, more and more places have NFC now, so we just figured, why not let Samsung Pay just rely on NFC like everybody else, now that that standard that other companies have pushed for and encouraged other businesses to adopt to, now that everybody has moved on to that standard, Samsung's like, now we don't really care about having it anymore. It doesn't really matter. And a very similar situation has happened this year as well with the complete removal of expandable storage. For how many years has Samsung been bragging about over their competitors, hey, you know what? If you need more storage, you can just pop that tray out, slap a new micro SD card in there, and boom, you can have over a terabyte of storage. And now nothing in the S21 lineup goes over 512 gigs. In fact, the only way to get a half a terabyte of storage is to get the Ultra. You cannot get half a terabyte on the S21 Plus or regular S21, which, I personally don't need that much storage, but I remember a lot of people talking about in the past, I want iPhones with a terabyte of storage, and I only use a Samsung because I can use expandable storage and I can get over half a terabyte of storage. It was something that in the Samsung audience was brought up all the time. Like, fanboys of that brand were always bragging about this expandable storage thing, and now they've abandoned that and just been like, no one else is doing it. So my point is, the business strategy Samsung is going with does not seem to be very for their fan base, whereas in my opinion, Apple a lot of the time likes to strengthen their ecosystem, and yeah, sometimes they remove things. The removal of a 3D touch is still hard for a lot of people to get over, but that year we also got massive battery life gains as well. Like, battery lives doubled when they removed 3D touch, and of course the prices stayed the same, as well as them gaining all these extra features. So it happens on occasion, but I feel like it's usually when Apple stops bragging about it year after year. We got software updates that were already kind of nerfing 3D touch in the first place, whereas Samsung, you can tell now from the distance between their marketing department and what the company actually does, there's very little communication. They basically just go, well, we have an advantage here, we have an advantage over the iPhone, bring it up, they suck, we're better, everybody buy us. And then the actual engineering team is like, no, actually what Apple did, that was a really great idea, let's just move forward with that. No expandable storage, we don't need MST, and who needs to include a charger brick and headphones in the box, right? Actually, that's all great ideas, we're gonna do it on the next model, which to me just comes across as heavily hypocritical. And I know Samsung is a huge company, so it's probably easy for both of these divisions to not communicate with each other, but I think this ultimately comes back to Samsung. When it comes to your marketing, when it comes to how you brag about your phones, please stop doing this we are better than Apple thing, because it always backfires for you, whether it's the double dongle, or we have expandable storage, or we include the charge brick. It always backfires. So I don't know why you keep trying to do it, and I think moving forward you guys should just focus a little bit more on yourself. And if this feels like a repetitive video, it's because I have done videos like this in the past, but I'm just gonna keep making them until Samsung learns their lesson, because I feel like they still haven't. And what they're doing with the S21 lineup is, there's improvements. I'm sure the Snapdragon chip or the Exynos chip is faster than before, and I've seen the pictures. Space zoom actually looks usable, whereas 100x space zoom last year was kind of a gimmicky joke. But honestly, with so many of these displays still being the same as last year, and it's just lower pricing but removing so many things you used to brag about, I feel like if I was a big Samsung fan, I would be pretty ticked off at the brand. And I'm also curious to those Samsung viewers out there, are you guys as confused by their behavior as I am? Because personally, I find what they're doing to be quite annoying and frustrating, to just be like, 1 second, oh, this is everything we care about, we're so good, and the next second, actually, who cares, Apple was right all along. At least give some credit where credit is due, okay? Like, they're acting like removing the charge brick was something they inherently came up with. But in reality, Apple's the one that took the blunt of the criticism, and Samsung now gets to get away with it with fairly little criticism, because YouTubers are definitely not bringing it up as much as they brought it up for Apple. And it was the whole same situation with the removal of the headphone jack too. Apple does it, we're gonna get like 80 videos about why Apple sucks now. Samsung does it, everybody goes, well, that's what you gotta put up with to get a slightly better camera. Seems dumb to me, but at the end of the day, I hope you guys know I still like a lot of what Samsung does. They've made some truly truly groundbreaking products, and I still fully admit they have tons of advantages over iPhones, but at the same time, as an Apple sheep, I also have to admit iPhones have a ton of advantages over Samsung, especially when it comes to ecosystem inclusion, chip performance, and software longevity. So how long you can hold on to these phones, and also screen size variety. The fact that the 12 mini is pretty much unmatched with Android competitors when it comes to premium hardware in a small, compact footprint that fits very easy in my pocket. Honestly, I gotta say, the 12 mini is more compact and portable than the Z Flip is. Alright, that's enough Apple sheeping for one day. Feel free to let me know your thoughts down below. This is your Apple Sheep here. I'll see you guys in the next one.